Hello everybody, it's Gary Hallican here, and I've got the one we've been waiting for. So today we're looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Collector Edition Huntress figure. So if you saw my video on the top 10 characters that I wanted to see get the DC Multiverse treatment, you would have seen that Huntress came in at number 2 on that list. So it's pretty exciting to get a figure of her here in the DC Multiverse series. And she's a character that has gotten some figures throughout the years, but not a whole lot of figures, and definitely not as many as most members of the Bat family. So it's really great to have a new one of her now. And you may also notice that this wave of collector edition figures has gotten rid of the card stand that people seem to not like very much in favor of some more accessories. So we get some alternate face plates, which is going to be quite good, I think. So if we look at the side of the box, we'll see that this is meant to be the new 52 version of her. And we can see that if we look at the artwork on the back. So this artwork is the cover art from Huntress number 1 from December 2011. So this was a 6-issue limited series that went on in 2011, 2012. And so you can see there, that's the same art. And this is by these two guys right here. I'm not sure how to pronounce their names, so you can see right there who the cover artists are. However, the figure does match pretty closely to this artwork and to this version of the character, with a couple small omissions that I will talk about when we get her out of the package. Now, there is a platinum for this figure, and I wasn't sure what they would go with for the platinum. She has had a lot of different costumes over the years, but I'm happy to report that the platinum is one of her 90s costumes. So specifically, as you can see right here, it matches the classic Total Justice figure. So that is really cool to get one of the classic 90s costumes there as the platinum. Now, you saw here that she has multiple face plates. So you'll notice that one of the face plates has a smaller mask. So as we compare here with the old Total Justice figure, the small mask face is meant to go with the platinum here. It's meant to go with that costume. And then the larger mask is meant to go with this costume, the new 52 costume there. So we won't be opening the platinum, but I do think it looks really great, and it's great to get a 90s costume with it. We will be opening the regular one here. So let's go ahead and get her out and see what we think. Okay, so here's the Huntress out of the package. And I think aesthetically, she looks pretty great. It's a very good representation of this version of the character. Pretty much what you could want as far as a Huntress figure. I do have a couple nitpicks that I will talk about. But I think overall, looks really good. I think the proportions are quite good. I think she looks a lot like how she normally looks in most of her comic book appearances. The strange thing, though, is that the head kind of sits at a weird angle. And there's not really anything you can do about it because of the hair. The head doesn't really move very much at all. So that's kind of a weird thing aesthetically. But for the most part, I think she looks really good. Now, I did mention, though, that there are a couple omissions if they wanted to get this to be totally accurate. So if this was meant to definitely be the version of her from this comic book, she should definitely have purple knee pads and purple elbow pads, as you can see here, for instance. So we take a look right there. Definitely should have purple knee pads and definitely should have purple elbow pads, right? If they wanted to be really accurate. You can see here too a silver crossbow, and of course the one we get with the figure is black. We'll get to that when we get to accessories. But I know why she doesn't have purple knee pads. That's because, as far as I know, the legs are reused on her here. I think the legs are from a previous Catwoman figure, and so that's why she doesn't have the knee pads, and also why the boots are not exactly accurate to the comic either. But again, these are things that you wouldn't know unless you had the comic right next to you, like I do here. Otherwise, I think she looks really great, with the highlight, of course, being that cape, right? You see the cape here with the white stripe around the edge. That looks really nice, I think. So it's good to get a nice two-tone cape like that. And of course, it is a wired cape, so we should get some good poses with it. The other nitpick I'll point out here, you see on her belt, there are some kind of separate cables molded in onto her belt there. So I wish there was a little bit more painted detail to kind of bring those out a little more. If you look in the comic, they are more separated from the rest of her belt there, right? And it's all one purple piece on the figure here. So I wish there was a little bit more painted detail maybe on the belt and on the boots, some things like that. But for the most part, really nice, I think. And I'm really happy. I don't want to complain very much about actually getting a Huntress figure. Let's get the head up here and look close at the face sculpt. So I think it's pretty decent. I think it looks better than it did in the initial pictures that were released of this figure. Of course, it does come off pretty easily because we can switch with the other head sculpts there. But you can see here the head kind of sits at a strange angle on the neck, and there isn't really much you can do about that. But otherwise, I think the head looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and get to articulation next. Okay, so for articulation, as I mentioned, the head doesn't really go anywhere. If you look at the side, you can see how the face is kind of too far forward, I think. Like I said, the head sits kind of at a weird angle, and it doesn't really go anywhere. We've got, the hair is soft, but that still doesn't mean we can really get much movement out of the head. If you try to turn the head there, you can see how the face doesn't sit quite right on the neck, I think. So can't get too much at all out of the head here. At the arms, we've got up pretty much horizontal, almost here. So the shoulder pads, they're soft, so they move out of the way, so we can get twist all the way around. She does have bicep swivel right there, and of course the double elbow, all the way double elbow. And then at the wrists, we have swivel, and it looks like no hinges this time. So no hinges on the wrists here. It usually looks like we have just a peg on, it looks like a ball joint in there. Usually we have hinges on the hands, but we don't here. So we just basically have swivel at the wrists, and that sticks out a little far from the wrist too. And at the chest, we've got, if we include the waist, we've got virtually no crunch forward as usual, but very good crunch backward, or lean backwards, I should say. So very excellent lean back, and pretty good tilt side to side, actually quite good tilt side to side. Of course, can twist at the chest and the waist. The problem is, of course, once you start twisting her at the chest and the waist, you can only twist so far before you mess up the cross detail here. So I won't twist her very much probably because of that. Coming down to the hips, so we got very good kick, so up that far with the leg, and pretty good backwards, better than a lot of other ones going backwards. Full splits, no problem at all. No rotation really at all at the thigh here. Double knee, all the way double knee. No problems there. And then at the foot, that far up, all the way down. We do have a tiny little toe joint here that doesn't really want to do much. You're not going to want to use it very much anyway. And then swivel at the ankles. So quite good. Definitely better articulated than some other ones. I just wish the head fit on a little bit better and would move a little bit more. I think we'll be able to get plenty of good poses regardless of that. But definitely pretty good articulation, better than a lot of the other ones. And the cape, of course, is the wired cape. So we should get some good stuff going on with that. Definitely a stiffer wire than on the dark side figure. If you saw my previous review, the wire on his cape was such that it wouldn't really hold any positions or anything. But this one has a stiff wire on it here, you can see, will hold positions. So pretty good on the articulation. Quite good, I think. So let's look at accessories next. Okay, so for accessories, she does have the normal stand, but of course it has the silver DC logo because this is a collector's edition one. But you'll notice there's no card on the back here because the card actually came in the package this time, which I really like that. That's much better than having the card be carded, because then you have to tear the package apart to get to it. So this actually being in the plastic tray was quite nice, and I'm happy about that. However, it was a little bit tricky to get it out without bending it. But you got the bio on the back there. So nice card. And like I said, I'm glad that it came in the plastic tray and not carded on the back, so I could actually take it out for once. As for other accessories, we do have some good stuff going on here. So she has the crossbow, her signature weapon, and it's fine. It's pretty nondescript, just a regular old crossbow. As you saw in the comic that I was showing earlier, it should be silver, right? And it's just molded in plain black here, but that's not too big a deal. Let's see how she is at holding it. You'll notice that she has 2 trigger finger hands that come on her in the package. Only one crossbow though, so she can only do one trigger finger thing at a time. But there we go, no trouble at all holding the crossbow, right? So no issues there, that works really well. And she does have several other hands. So we've got 2 open hands for right and left. So open hands for right and left. So we'll see how easy those are to switch out. So no problem there, switching the hands. Very simple like that. So she has one of each of those open hands. And I keep dropping stuff. So jump cut because I dropped stuff. Then the other hands that she has are fist hands. So a right and left fist hand. So what's very nice about this figure that we have not seen with very many of them is we get a left and right hand for all of the poses. So we get left and right trigger fingers, left and right open hands, and left and right fists. So that is quite good. We very rarely get that. Most of these figures you get, you know, maybe one holding hand that's just a right hand and one fist that's just a left, so forth. So it's good to get the multiple hands. And then her last accessories, and probably the most important ones, I think, are the 2 extra face plates. So if we look at those, we have another one with the large mask on it. And this is fairly similar to the head that's already on her. This has kind of a smiling look to it. A little bit there. So you can see what these look like on the back. These are thinner and more rigid than I expected them to be. They're not rubbery like a lot of these figures are. Get it to focus on her again. There we go. But the faceplate comes off very easily. You can see what she looks like without a face. And then we'll snap the other one on. So there we go. That one's pretty good. I think that one maybe I like a little better than the one that came on her. And then, of course, she has the one with the small mask, which is really meant for the platinum version, but I think it looks good. Bring it up close. So I think that's probably the best looking of the face plates. The issue is, even if I think that that's the best looking faceplate, it doesn't go with this costume. So it would pain me to leave this face on her, even though I like that one. It wouldn't go with this costume. She really should have the larger mask with this costume. I'm going to say that McFarlane probably needs to refine their faceplate switching a little bit. Not that it doesn't work easily, but because it does cause the head to sit at a strange angle. So I think they need to work on that a little bit. Overall, though, accessories are good, and I think people will be happy at the number of accessories that we got compared to some other figures. Okay, let's do some size comparisons next. Okay, for size comparisons, here is Huntress with the Q Posket figure of the Mary Elizabeth Winstead version of the character. We unfortunately will probably never get a DC Multiverse figure of that one because the Birds of Prey movie didn't do very well, but maybe in their digging into the deep cuts one of these days we'll get a Mary Elizabeth Huntress. Here she is with Cassandra Cain, the Cassandra Cain Batgirl. So in the comics, of course, Huntress did wear this Batgirl costume for a short time, so it's appropriate to compare them there. They are pretty much the same size, it looks like, so just about the same size. Here she is with the Plastic Man Wave Batman. So he's a little bit taller than her. Not a whole lot, but a little bit taller. So you can see how she compares to some of the, more typical figures in the wave there. Then here she is with Marvel Legends Cersei. So, of course, Cersei in the 6-inch scale. Here is a standard 12-ounce beverage can. And then, of course, here she is with John Cena. So there we go. All right, so this was the new collector edition Huntress figure, and I can't really complain. It's great to get a Huntress figure, one that looks this good. She definitely looks good along with Batman and Batgirl there, so no problems there. Does have a few issues, like I said. If you're a real accuracy stickler, right, you'll say that she definitely should have purple knee pads. But if you're not a real accuracy stickler, you won't worry about that. You will worry, though, probably about the strange way that the head fits on the neck. So you can get a pose, kind of like I have her now, where it doesn't look bad and it doesn't really affect anything. But if you're trying to pose the head quite a bit, you might run into some issues there. Overall, though, very excited to get a Huntress figure in this wave, and I wouldn't miss this one. So please stay tuned for some dramatic poses. And please let me know in the comments which Huntress costume is your favorite look for her and which one you would like to see get a figure. Let me know what else is cool, and we'll see you in the next review.